Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to build a bracket, and I'm going to show you every single step of how to do it. Y'all sit back and enjoy. Check this out, we just built a bracket, and we didn't document how we did it. But damn did this turn out nice, look at that. We got plenty of room around our fitting. It's made out of aluminum, so lightweight. Pretty simple, it's just a bend with two holes and some rounded corners. So I'm going to show you how we built that real quick. We're about to build the mirror image of this for the driver's side. Here we go. Step 1, clamp a piece of metal and a vise at approximately the correct angle. We're just eyeballing this, because in this particular case it doesn't have to be exact. So that's close, and then we're just going to beat it over with a hammer to put a bend in it. Well, we're going to try to film this. No idea how this is going to work because I broke my tripod, but we'll see. There we go. Got a nice bend in it. Now let's see if it fits. Alright, so we removed our friction clamp and put that C-clamp there to give us some extra space. Make this job a little easier. Now let's see how close or far off we are. Kind of line the camera up where you can see that hole, that flange. Yep, looks like we can make this work. I think. Alright, let's start cutting. Tell you what, so before we start cutting, let me tell you what we're trying to do. So we know what we want the bracket to look like. Now we had to do this on the other side without we hadn't built one at the time, but we generally know what we're looking for. But here's the thing, we don't want to cut this too short and have to start over. So you can see the bottom, we've got a long length on the tail after the bend, and it's not running into anything right now. Now if I slide it down until this hole kind of lines up about where it's going to go, well, now we can see the tail striking the C-clamp. So we're going to cut that tail a little bit shorter, but we're not going to cut it all the way. We're going to leave some extra on there. And we'll cut it later if we need, we'll shorten it when we have to. So we're going to go ahead and cut, say, 1/2 inch or so off the tail. Try to get this top lined up with the center of the bolt. We want to slide this down until the center of the bracket lines up with the center of that hole. So one of the fantastic things about using really, really thin aluminum is you can just cut it with a pair of shears. So I've got this old pair. They're old, they're kind of dull, but this is only 1/16 thick aluminum, so it cuts through them pretty good. Alright, round 3. So we cut this and it still wasn't short enough, so we cut it a second time. That looks like we did it. So there we're hitting the clamp, but you can tell we're kind of going well past that hole before it hits. Yeah, you can see it's about to come off the other side. So now we know the tail is short enough, but it's not an issue. We're not running into anything. So now we're roughly holding this there. If we come back over here, we can put a general mark and cut this shorter. And that's what we're about to do. So if we look from this side, we can tell we've kind of got it about where it needs to go. But over from this side, we can't see anything. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to grab our friction clamp and we're going to hold it down here so that it won't move, so we can mark it. So you can see here, we got our friction clamp holding it. And now, if we come up here, you'll see that we clamped it crooked. But that's okay, it's easy to fix. We'll just loosen it, slide it back, make sure we got this in the right spot. Alright, so we almost made a mistake. You may notice we got the clamp backwards now, the tail's pointing towards the beautiful turbo. So before we had it over here, and the handle of the tail was running into this piece of metal, which had moved my condenser outward like this. Actually moved it quite a bit. So in fact, it moved it so much that my bracket didn't line up anymore. And I was sitting there like, man, how did I screw this up? And then I kind of backed up and noticed that the condenser had a 1/2 inch gap between it and the radiator. So, simple mistake, simple solution, but when you're doing fab work, kind of keep an eye on things. So let's see, now how are we looking? Yeah, we still need to adjust that a little bit, but we're close. So we'll adjust that one more time and mark it. So we got our bracket where we want it. And I'm trying to mark the back side, but I can't really get a Sharpie in there very good. So here's a question. It's not chicken or the egg, but which hole do we drill first? Do we drill the one on the top or do we drill the one on the side? So let me tell you the answer. The answer is we drill the top one first. Here's why. We only have one hole that we can line up with on the top. If we look at the front one, this bracket, well, the clamp's kind of blocking it, but you can see there's a hole that aluminum lines up with right here. Well, there's also one below that clamp that I could line up on as well. And here's the thing, if I screw up both of those, Look how much space there is between each hole. I could just drill a new hole and bolt it that way. So I have like 3 or 4 options of how to bolt this. Down here, I've only got one option here, which is this bung that's welded to the radiator. So I'm going to drill this one first, get that bolted up, and if it moves a little, that's okay. Here's the second reason. So by drilling the first one, if it moves a little, and this bottom one moves, check this out. I actually have access to mark this. So you can see I'm looking right through the front of the car, and you can see clear as day that this hole is right there behind the shiny metal. I can actually reach in and mark that with a Sharpie, and I'll show you that in a little bit. That's going to make it really easy to get that second hole lined up perfect so this bracket fits exactly how I want. So had I done it the other way, I could do this bolt easily, and then when I came up here, if I make a mistake, now my condenser's placed wrong, and it's basically impossible to fix without remaking the bracket. So this is order of operations is a big deal when you're building stuff like this. It can save you some time and prevent you from ever having to remake a bracket in case you're not perfect. So here's how we're going to mark it. We're just going to basically eyeball this and say, well, you know, this is kind of the center right about here. Look at it this way, somewhere around here. So basically we're just going to eyeball that and put a dot and drill a hole. I'll show you. See that bottom mark? That's the hole. That's what we're saying is the hole. You can see from this perspective it looks pretty good. So about to drill that hole. Alright, so we got this clamped, just light pressure so it doesn't deform, and we're about to drill our hole. So we got our hole drilled, and you can see we marked this. We're about to cut this to roughly put a radius using shears, and then we'll clean it up with a file. So you can see this is kind of radius, but I haven't done any, I only did this with shears. These are actually just discrete angles. It's like a 90, a 45, and then a 22.5. Now we're going to hit it with a file and clean that up. Alright, so we just hit this with a file and kind of knocked the edges off. Now we've roughly got a radius. Alright, so we bolted this in, and now the top's set, and it's slightly crooked on me, but it's no big deal. I can push it back. You can see we've got 2 different holes here. So we're going to use probably that bottom one. So I'm going to clamp to hold this in place, and then we're going to take a Sharpie and mark that so we can drill it. Alright, so I noticed my condenser had moved, so I rebolted it up, and then this hole right here is the one we're going to use, so we're about to mark that. Yep, there's the mark. And pull this bracket and drill it. Alright, so we drilled our hole. We kind of laid this out, so we're going to put a radius there and cut it a little shorter. So check this out. That looks like a radius, and that's really just 3 cuts with the shears. A 45, a 22.5, and another 22.5. And now we're going to hit it with a file. And because it's so close to a circle, that's going to take 5 seconds with a file to make smooth. Alright, there we go. It only took 6 strokes of the file to put that radius on there, since we had it cut pretty close. Now we'll install it, see if it fits. Alright, so here's the bracket. We just got the bolts put in, and it turned out good. Simple and gets the job done. Hey guys, well, how'd y'all like that? This was me really documenting the full process to build a bracket. Now building brackets is simple, you know. I mean, it's just in this case it was literally just a flat piece of metal. We put a bend in it and 2 holes. But even though it was a simple part, we needed it to fit, and it needed, you know, the dimensions were pretty important. You can see that we got the condenser right where we wanted it. So anyway, if y'all like this kind of videos, you know, if you want to see more fab work, specifically not just building cool stuff, but really showing every little step along the way about how we do it and why we do things and how we make decisions. If y'all like that kind of stuff, let me know. Feel free to like the video and comment. Let me know what you think. Tell all your friends, because I'm trying to grow this channel. But yeah, if this is the kind of, you know, some people just like to see, you know, burnouts and racing, and some people like fab work. And I know if I look at the views on my channel, I know people want to see stuff go fast and hear cool sounds. But yeah, if you like fab work, let me know. I'll try to. This stuff's tedious. You can see all the little clips that went into making this video. It's a whole bunch of, you know, I'm not very good at this editing stuff, so this takes a while to put all this together. But yeah, if y'all like this, just let me know, and I'll keep doing these occasionally and throwing them in there. Alright guys, y'all take it easy.